Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to
The Cypher.
The Cypher.
One question I think I should have asked you at the beginning: why fashion? Why did you decide to go with fashion?
That's a good question. Why fashion? Okay, I know for me why I suggested fashion to Jeff, right? When he called me that fateful day of September in 2017. Because I'm not gonna lie, okay, why fashion? For me, it was because of Virgil Abloh, right? The creator of Off-White. He's Ghanaian by background. He was born in Chicago, right? But to see someone like Virgil Abloh have super success in the fashion industry, right? And stuff like that. And somebody like Kanye also, right?
Yeah.
Have a lot of success in the fashion industry. Somebody who's a musician, right? I was like, okay, people that look like me, right? I was like, they're doing something, right? I'm like, okay, when Jeff called me, he's like, let's start something, because he didn't have an idea what we wanted to start, right? We were like, fashion, you know what I mean? I was like, let's get into it, right? And then Jeff, obviously, like I said, he wasn't really into fashion like that, but he loves a challenge. I'll tell you that much. He loves a challenge, right? So it didn't matter if he had no background, where he didn't care. He was like, let's go. This is something that this is new for me, but I'm gonna get my stuff straight. You know what I mean? And now he's a drip god. Guys all over Instagram, taking all sorts of photos like a fashion model, like, you know, like in some VLNO pieces and stuff, looking like a real model. And
I learned from the best.
He's mine. I'd be chilling. I'd be chilling for sure. But yeah, I would say that's where the fashion came from, like from my end, for me anyway. That's why I chose fashion and whatnot. I don't know if Jeffrey is the same.
For me, like, I just kind of I just wanted to do something, like, you know, with my best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, let's do something, right? Like, that's just like he said, like, it didn't, like, whether it was music, you know, whether it was acting, like, you know, whether it was building our own car company, whatever, like, it would have been. Like, I was just kind of ready to, like, okay, let's go. Let's find a way to make it happen, right? So
car company would have been interesting.
Like,
Car company, yeah.
Elon, bro, coming for you.
Well, no, a car company, yeah.
Right, like, whatever it would have been, like, you would have been ready to kind of, like, I was ready to, you know, put
Take
in the
it
work.
on.
Right, so, like, yeah, like, kind of for me, like, this high school was a big part, like, for me, like, just in terms of kind of discovering who I was. I'm like, yo, like, I just kind of just enjoyed creating stuff and seeing, like, I created, me and the team, like, we created an entrepreneurial club and created a whole, like, big tournament, a video game tournament, and created a whole all-star game within the span of, like, you know, a month, right? And we raised $2,500 that we put towards a scholarship for the school. So once I see that happen, I'm like, yo, like, I was able to, you know, do this in this amount of time. I'm like, why not? Like, it kind of just motivated me more, like, okay, I need to challenge myself beyond just kind of going through university. Even I'm not saying, like, yo, university is, like, it's difficult. Like I said, that's a big enough part. Like, 14 classes first year at university, that's no joke.
That's crazy.
Right? And so, right, like,
You're tweaking.
I know, it was weird. Right, but, like, yeah, like, I'm just ready to, like, regardless of whatever it was, I was just ready to put in the work. And honestly, I'm glad, you know, his like love for fashion is what, like, ended up being it, because now, like, I was able to learn. And I am still learning, like, you know, about it every single day, like, you know, so.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to The Cypher. Yo, we got Olly, Azeez, and Mithon on episode 19 of The Cypher today.
19, jeez.
Yeah. It's crazy, you know? I think we started the podcast about a year ago now, right? Or about a year ago, a few months ago.
Yeah.
Well,
it's been
in November.
In November.
Yeah.
Was that our last episode? Episode 18?
Episode 18, around there, yeah.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when COVID hit. It's been a whole year now. It's crazy. But, you know, we got some really dope guests in today. We got the co-designers of VLNO Mode.
So there's, like, multiple pronunciations.
Yeah.
So it's VLNO, right?
VLNO, okay.
it's an acronym. It stands for Very Luxurious Niche Objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't know if you can see on the shirt over here. It says it actually. Yeah.
And mine is like a
That's a
little
little acronym.
VLNO.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go
I like
VLNO, or you can go VLNO. You can go Very Luxurious Niche Objects. You can go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, why don't you guys introduce yourself? You got Jeffrey and Duke here, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm Duke. He's Jeff. We're both 22 years old. He goes to Ryerson University. I go to Brock University.
Okay.
I'm studying nursing.
Yeah, I'm in media communications. So yeah, that's what we're right now. Apart from obviously VLNO Mode.
Okay, yeah. And so, like, I guess just to break into it, like, how have you guys been during this time during COVID and all that? How y'all been going through the year since COVID started till now?
Well, for me, anyways, I know when the pandemic first hit, I don't mean to sound like, negative or anything, but like, I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I know like there's some other places in the world where like, obviously, like, there's like real bad stuff going on, like in Italy, I was Italy, like, had like so many people dying and stuff. But like, obviously, like, besides that, like when it first hit, I know like I enjoyed the lockdown in the beginning because like it made me just take a step back from like the entire world and stuff and just like self-reflect. Obviously it sounds corny, but like I actually like, did some self-reflecting and whatnot. I like kind of reignited my passion for music, like making music and stuff, right? Because I do that on the side, nothing crazy at the moment, but I do it on the side. And it was good in the beginning until, Doug Ford did like 4 more lockdowns.
You got a bit too much.
Okay, I'm ready to go back outside now.
But you started like March 17th, she went to like the first lockdown. And, they kind of lifted it later on because we remember people were able to go out to patios.
Yeah, the summer was good.
Yeah. We had a summer last summer.
Yeah, basically.
Right? When September hit, that's when everything kind of went
to hell.
Yeah.
Hell, and, but yeah, it's been a mixed bag. Obviously, recently it's been bad. I'm not gonna lie. Recently, like I'm not somebody who steps out a lot, but even I want to go outside because it's been damn near like over a year now, a year of lockdown. So it's like I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. Dougie, get your act together.
We're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
For me, also, it's probably like the opposite. Like initially, I kind of was a bit like, damn, I gotta stay in my basement every single day, like for the next like how long, right? And then I honestly like once we got like a little bit of that, being able to go out, that kind of made it a bit better. But then coming back and just doing like it was good for school because you save a whole bunch of not commuting, whatever. But like we also kind of lost out on just kind of seeing your friends, just playing basketball, connecting with people, like and stuff like that, right? So. That kind of happened, kind of like, was a bit annoying, but like we rebounded. It also kind of helped us with the brand too as well.
Yeah, sure,
in terms of second collection, when we also like did like a whole rebound and whatnot. Yeah. It had its ups and downs for sure.
Yeah. And just talking about the brand itself, like what, I guess in terms of you two, like what brought you guys together to think of this brand, VLNO?
Jeff and I have known each other since we were like really young, like grade 3. Like we were friends since grade 3. I would say our friendship got stronger as time even went on because in grade 3 we were friendly, but like we weren't like tight knit. But like as the years went on, we got friendlier, and throughout high school we're like brothers. So like Jeffrey's like a brother to me. So we've been friends for a long time. So we graduated high school 2017. And then that first year of university, Jeff hits me up and he's like, yo, you want to start something? Like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, start something? He's like, let's start something together, like a business, something, a brand, whatever it is. And I was like, you want to do clothes? And Jeff's like, yeah, I'm with it. Let's do clothes, right? We had no idea, like, we had no background information about fashion design, whatever. Like, I was into fashion. Jeff really wasn't like, he was still like easing his way into it, but like, I was into fashion. Like, I was like, a kind of a sneakerhead, stuff like that. I was somewhat into like the hype beast stuff, not all the way in, but like I was like, somewhat into it and whatnot. So, it kind of worked that way, as in like, okay, you have somebody who has like a little bit of fashion background in terms of like the knowledge of not designing, but knowledge. And then Jeffery's like grind, business acumen, because he's really good with numbers. He's a really good communicator, and he's a master like marketer, right? Like you talk to Jeffery, he can market to you that he's like the best basketball player in the city. Like if you had no idea who Jeffery was, and like you're talking basketball, he's like, yo, I'm the best. Like, he's a great marketer, great communicator, right? So I was like, it's a match made in heaven, honestly, right? You have the design aspect from my end, right? And then also over time, he's obviously become a beautiful designer in terms of clothing and everything, right? So it's not just like, oh, Duke's the best. It's like, nah, it's even now, right? And he still has that marketing aspect, obviously, and he's gotten better with this. So I would say that's how it started. Obviously, I could go like super in depth. Maybe Jeffrey wants to.
I guess it all depends kind of when you talk about, like, I hit him up and then boom, like, we started kind of talking, trying to figure out, yo, what do we actually do, right? So like once kind of figured, okay, let's do clothing, right? I'm like, I better say no more. So I was like kind of like this, like around at my his place, like I'll be coming over to his place all the time, like just sitting down this topic, because we don't want to like a big thing with us is like we just don't want to create something like rush.
Yeah.
That like if it's put out to people like, oh yeah, like that's a brand that he could tell you probably this minute sat down, you want to make money, put a whole bunch of letters on a t-shirt and hey, exactly. So that's why like it took us a while. Let's kind of really kind of figure out, okay, yo, what can we put together that like we can present to people and people like would actually appreciate what we make. Right, because again, if I brought to you like a Gucci scarf or something like that, like, or a Gucci jacket, they have branded themselves so well that you are gonna appreciate wearing that Gucci coat or whatever you're wearing from them. And that's kind of like our mindset. Like we just don't want to create something rush, throw on a t-shirt, say, oh, VLNO, and then kind of give it out to people. We want people like when they buy our stuff to kind of feel a part of the family, because like I said, we're not like family. We're kind of
damn near family.
Exactly. We grew into that. And that's kind of like what we kind of envision with the brand too, as well. Like that kind of purchase, that order, that item, that article that you get in your hand, it kind of connects you to us in some way somehow, right? So that's kind of like the vision from the start, and like with like what we have now is slowly kind of starting to be made like prevalent to the masses. And so that's the beginning. Obviously, like there was a whole bunch of ups and downs, like people taking our money, like us rebranding ourselves, like models dropping out literally hours before we're about to do a photo shoot, not having a photographer to there's a whole bunch of craziness.
Like it took us, I want to say, 3-4 months to come up with a name. It took us just the name. Forget designing clothes. It took us 3-4 months to come up with a name, because we started talking about this business in September of 2017. We got our name in January. That's legit. We got our name. We figured out a name in January, and then we got this name, and then we look back on it and we're like, yo, this name is kind of similar to another brand. And the thing is, we're never going to try and copy anybody else, obviously, right? Like that's just like an etiquette thing, right? But turns out that our name was very similar to our next brand. And then we're like, oh, shoot, we've already pumped out some clothes, yada, yada, yada. So it's like, now we got to rebrand. And that's when we was talking about the pandemic helped a little bit, because it kind of like, because everybody went on pause, right? So like nobody was looking at us. So we had the chance to work in the background, right? And rebrand very well and come to what we have now, which is a pretty decent upcoming brand.
We feel like, like what we got now is definitely like, when we even like look back, like we look back at the original name versus kind of like what we are now, like VLNO, very luxurious object, VLNO Mode, whatever you guys want. Like this is really kind of who we envision ourselves being like for so
if you could like talk about like what like your theme or like what your objective with this VLNO brand is, like I don't know, like what you can maybe talk about some of your inspirations as well. Like I know like people don't copy, but there's some inspiration and stuff like that, right? If you want to talk to us about like what your brand is like solely about, like say in a few sentences, like what is it,
I don't need to be corny, but it's literally in the name, right? Very luxurious. Like that's literally what the brand is, in the sense that like it's the luxurious part in the name comes from the fabric and the material, right? Like it's easy to outsource to, you know, manufacturers who give you crappy cotton, crappy nylon, you know, anything like for the cheap, like for low, right? And then just put a name on it, whatever, cool. But like we really try to, you know, outsource a lot of like great material and whatnot. So that's where the luxurious part comes in, right? The niche part in the name is in the sense that like we don't mass produce a lot of items at once, because when you do that, right, like it kind of like the first one can be really high quality, but then as you go to like the 100th one, the 200th one, then the quality starts to diminish. So we focus on like the nicheness of it, right? Like making a set quantity almost, if that makes sense, so that everybody that purchases or has a chance to purchase, right, feels this like rich luxuriousness like in the pieces, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're about, right?
Yeah.
And also, you know, making clothing that, how do I explain it? It's kind of easy to wear, but at the same time, it's like out there, if that makes sense. It's a subtle flex is what we always try to call it, right?
Exactly.
Like we can give you like a bomb, like varsity jacket, right?
Yeah.
And it can be worn with whatever jeans you already own, whatever pants you already own, whatever the case may be, like whatever shirt you already own, right? But then the quality of it is rich, you know, and stuff like that. So that's what our brand is. That's how, that's our image.
Yeah. I like how you talked about the like the first one made versus 100th, because I feel like okay, I have a Mac Miller hoodie, right?
Oh yeah.
I pre-ordered it like when it first came out. Love the quality. A year later, I'm on Reddit, and so many people were complaining about, you know, like their quality being different, and it just made me think. I'm like, were the first ones made better? Like the one that I got, was it much better than, right? So I really liked how you like it cleared up like whatever was in my mind, right? So
that's how like if you look at like some big, I'm not gonna name names or whatever, right? But like some bigger companies, granted, it's not their fault per se in the sense that they have so much customers, right? So like they kind of have to mass produce and pump out so much stuff, right? But like if you look at companies, the reason why, you know, the quality starts to fade a bit because they're just making so much, like they have to like satisfy everybody's like and stuff, right? So
and like even kind of adding on to that, like a big thing with us too is like we found out like our customers are really loyal. Like so we drop on collection, everything's sold out, right? And we did a pre-order for it, and the customers have waited like almost 2 months just to kind of get their items.
And that's to no fault of our own, by the way. It's because of COVID. COVID interrupted so much manufacturing production.
Right? Like they when you get their stuff, like the excitement that they feel is like, oh, like I could pull up a message right now on my phone, like from like 2 days ago, of a customer getting the pants that they pre-ordered, and we're like, yo, fam, this thing is so like, you know, comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this like they're saying like it was worth the wait, like, you know, so that kind of speaks to what you're talking about in terms of like the quality that we have kind of compared to others is much superior. Like that's kind of something that we kind of want to hold throughout, like, you know, from piece 1 to piece 100, you're getting 100% quality and the best from us, regardless of if you're number 60 or number 2, 3, like, you know, right? That's a big thing for us. And kind of to add into what you're saying too, like one thing with us too, we want to focus on, like we want to focus on is exclusivity.
Yeah, that's
right.
The word,
Like we don't like, obviously we want everybody to kind of have access to what we got, but we also want to kind of create, like, you know, a family, right? We're not like, if you like, we want to make it fun, the fun shopping experience. Like if you want to go buy like basketball shoes right now, you probably could go online and get a pair. But if you want on our side to go try to buy something, like, you know, everything's so that you can't really get it. So it's like, you know, like when we say, okay, we're dropping at 5 p.m., pull up at 5 p.m., like, you know, or else you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big thing that we're trying to also do too, is kind of push to kind of make like that shopping experience beyond just, oh, okay, I know they're going to have pairs, so I'm just going to go wait later. Like, for sure. When we say 5 p.m., come 5 p.m. and come and have fun with us.
Yeah. And like, I know you guys talked about like your quality and your maintaining that over time. Like, what was that journey like, finding the right manufacturer for your product?
Man. Journey, that's the appropriate word. Like Jeffery, I don't think he briefly mentioned this, like touched on it. First guy we found scam us out of our money. Like, straight up, like that's what people don't understand. Like people are like, oh yeah, I want to start a clothing brand, or we're like, just go buy some shirts, whatever, print some things. Like, yeah, they will scam you any chance they get. Like, especially like if you don't know what you're doing at first, right? So yeah, we got scammed out of a couple bucks our first go around, and then we like had pretty much almost no money to continue, right? But we pulled some money together. Shout out to anybody that helped us, by the way, if you're watching. Shout out to anybody that helped us financially or anything. So we pulled some money together, yada yada. He went on a hunt, like a mad. We went on a hunt. He was searching everywhere. Boom, boom. Who can make this? Who can make that? Who has the better cotton? Who has the better yada yada yada? Then we found some, like, a few people. It's not just one person, obviously, right? It's multiple. We found a couple people and got some samples in. They were good. We thought they were, like, as our first go around and as like a business and a clothing brand, like they were good enough for us at that time, right? Good enough and whatnot. So work with them, and obviously as more money came in and as we got more experience, right, we upgraded to different manufacturers who can provide better pieces and whatnot. And that's how, like, people, if you ask people who have ever purchased our first stuff and purchased our current stuff, it's almost night and day in terms of like quality and also design, right? But that comes with experience, right? So yeah, but it was a journey to find it. And then COVID did not make things better either, because the delays and whatnot. Like,
we had a whole bunch of stuff that we're supposed to get like March, did not get them till like July. Yeah, and then, COVID definitely like that was a part where like it kind of messed up like our kind of plan. But then it kind of was a blessing to us all, because everybody's at staying at home. Like, all people want to do is shop, get a few, like, upgrade, like, the closet, right? So if we do have a summer, you're gonna see everybody pulling out, like, with crazy. Everybody's just kind of been shopping and stocking up.
That's true.
So like, that kind of helped us a bit. Like, people are ready. Like, people seeing us up. Oh, I need that in my closet, right? And so that definitely aided, like, in terms of us selling out, and it kind of gave people an idea. Oh, like I said, I could pull a message and be like, yo, like, I put on this hoodie, and it's like, comfortable as heck. Like, it's so cozy. Like, the quality is better than my 6 champion hoodies that I have. Like,
Hey, don't shit.
Yeah, the one right now. Yeah.
Like, just
champion, y'all cool.
Let's collaborate. We're showing some luxury.
Y'all cool. It's not good.
But like, just like we the pandemic just allowed us to be able to like just really like work on trying to find better suppliers, just really kind of evolve. Right? So definitely was, for sure.
Yeah. And like, just adding on to that, like, just finding the right quality for it. What was that like? Did you have like a standard of like how comfortable you wanted it to be, like bed comfort, or like was it like a clothing brand that you found that was like this is the goal?
Okay, so like I said initially, right, like how we thought what we did in the beginning was standard at the time, because we were just starting out, right? We didn't know the vast difference and stuff. But I don't think there was a clothing brand we looked to in terms of like standard for quality, because you can't really tell quality until you feel it in hand, right? Obviously, I can't just go pick up an off-white jacket if I felt like it, I don't have that kind of, that kind of Virgil. You might want to but yeah, like I would say, we just did a bit more research on fabric in general, right? Like what countries have like sourced the best, cotton, for example, right? Like cotton is a very common fabric. So like we searched that kind of stuff and whatnot, and then we got different pieces, right? So it's like certain percentage levels of like in terms of thickness of cotton. There's like thin cotton, thick cotton, right? Thicker ones for like for the colder weathers and stuff like that and whatnot. So like we found like the right balance, like a fine balance in like with all of them. And it's not just cotton in general, just like all like different kinds of fabrics, right? Yeah. So like, I wouldn't say there was a certain brand that we looked up to in terms of quality. We knew that we were going to get better over time, and we knew that we had to, because that was always one of our goals, is like great quality fabric. Like we don't want somebody to buy something and then it rips like 2 months in, 3 months in, right? We just want great quality fabric, like timeless pieces that can be worn from now to like, however long, right? So yeah, I would say it was one brand, but just like did a lot of research.
Yeah.
And like kind of said as well, like a lot of the time what we do is we'll order like when we create a collection, we're not just gonna just place an order for it. We like to get a few like samples in person in hand, right? Just so okay, like this one's like, it's okay, it's not too bad, like it's a bit stretchy and like we want, let's try something like, maybe with less spandex in the thing or more, saying just like stuff like that. So we always like to order a few samples, right? Just to kind of make sure, well, this is something that we like, because if we don't like it, we're not gonna put it out.
Yeah.
Kind of like anyway, so once we're comfortable with this is it, this is perfect. Like this is a perfect piece for this collection. Let's get it produced and then start working on our promotional aspects of that. For sure.
And just touching on that aspect of like promoting it and like getting it out there, like what was one of the first things that you guys did in order to like get people to be aware of your brand?
Talk to this guy. He's the marketing behind.
If I'm being honest, like a lot of it's just in person, like everywhere I went. That's kind of how it starts. Like if you go listen to like any type of artist or whatever, like that's coming up, they're like, hey, I'm always everywhere I go, I'm always telling people about my music. I'm trying to it's kind of similar approach to like everywhere I went. I just like tell them, listen, I got my own brand coming up soon, like watch out for this drop, March 22nd, 2019, like it's coming up soon. It's like a lot of this, like because me, right? I'm a pretty sociable person, so like everywhere I go, like people be like, yo, Jeff, I see you've been doing this, like how's that going? Like it's kind of having conversations about it. So like once you tell somebody about it, then they'll kind of slowly go tell a friend, and like, it's kind of almost eventually over. But a lot of that was just kind of in person talking. This me trying to grow my Instagram and my following to just kind of really try to like target different people that have never met me in person before. But if they come on my page and after they see my bio, I've tagged this brand page, they're gonna click it and check it out. And it's like they would never have a conversation with me, but the work and like the content that we have will speak for itself. It literally happened like about a week ago. Some girl, she went, followed me, right? Clicked the link in my bio, followed the brand page, and then went and bought some pants.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I'm like, didn't have a single conversation with her. Right? So a lot of that marketing stuff just comes up with presentation, and like I'm always like just advocating. We gotta find a way to try to be as professional as possible. Like if you're able to kind of really kind of fine tune your professionalism, I feel like people can kind of trust, like, you might buy something from Nike, like they built such a streamlined business that they can, like, you can place an order now, and even though you're going to get it 2 months later, like in a month, like you're going to get it, right? It's kind of based off of that, like third person, like perspective. You just look, I buy this, okay, cool, I just wait, right? So that's kind of like a big factor in terms of like just kind of from this talking on the Instagram page, like, Facebook page, Twitter, just trying to be on as many platforms as possible, because it's 2021. You got to be able to target different audiences from different platforms. Right?
So just basically kind of building that trust innately just through your appearance, basically. Right?
Just also being authentic to it, well, like just being authentic, genuine, like this, because I feel that's kind of what like people really kind of connect with. Like you can kind of see like whatever, like
you can see
like fakeness, like right. So like if you have a conversation with me in person or like even through DM, like the same energy that I'm like showcasing you about my brand through the DMs is going to be the exact same person, or even better in person when you talk to me, right? So that's how like a lot of people, like, once we've had a conversation with myself or do, like, oh, these guys are dope people, like, and they'll want to work with our models, like they're like, when's you guys next photo shoot? Like, I'm trying to like, so that's a big like part of that.
And shout out anybody who's also modeled for us. You guys are really appreciate it.
If you could talk about like your design, like instead of just the actual physical, maybe also talk about your design work, because I really like, just on your t-shirt right now, the whole logo and even the typography, it looks really nice.
Yeah, design. We went through like different phases in terms of like our design language. First, when we started, it was more so on some hoodies type stuff, like hoodies, whatever, just put in a VLNO mode on a hoodie, right? Then we tried to do a little something with like this zip up hoodie where it was like, some piping on the arm, whatever, that had like the little monogram going down. But then we drifted away from that a bit, right? Then we like moved to tracksuits, like those Kappa type of tracksuits. I don't know if you guys know Kappa, those type of tracksuits. Yeah, we kind of moved to that a little bit. We had this like silk interior at the time, and we were like, bro, that's gonna be a killer. Like, people are not ready for a silk interior, like a silk line tracksuit. So like we did that a little bit with our own like monogram. That's someone, Jeffrey designed it actually, I believe, right? He designed the monogram. Yeah, he designed the monogram on the interior, right? But then I think, like he said, obviously the pandemic made everybody pause. We had time to like redesign and rebrand. I would say our rebranding is when we finally had an idea of who we were, right? And how we like want to run and stuff. So like, we kind of like drifted away from super bright colors, if that makes sense. Like really bright, cause like some of our we had 2 tracksuit colors. It was a bright red, like a Ferrari red, and then like a yellow tracksuit brighter than the sun. It was like ridiculous bright, like it was like really bright. So like we're like, in theory, it's cool. How many people are gonna wear a bright yellow tracksuit? You know what I mean?
True.
Like, yeah, sure, the idea is fun and whatever, but it's not too practical. So like we kind of like said, okay, we'll leave the super bright colors. Maybe like if you want to do something just like outrageous out there, like for one time, right? But for the most part, we moved away from really bright colors and kind of focused on like, more practical colors like blacks, whites, grays, browns, greens, like not like, green like your shirt almost, like a very down green a bit, forest green type of color. And yeah, like I would say the only like outrageous, quote unquote outrageous color that we've done recently is a lilac. Like top and bottom, right? But it's really wearable, like especially the hoodie, right? Like it's really wearable. But yeah, as far as our design language, like even something like this came recently, right? This logo right here.
Okay.
Like it's not something that we had from before. I think we designed this like what, 2 months ago?
Like we designed
Yeah, like a little while ago.
like January,
yeah.
December-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
No, go in January actually. I think it might be February.
No, because the stuff.
Oh yeah, okay.
Production
Yeah.
supposed to come.
Yeah. Well, okay, sometime around January, December is when we did that, right? But like, yeah, like I said, not too many bright colors, right? More practical pieces. But at the same time, putting various touches from our brand that make people know, okay, this is a VLNO product, right? So what we did was when we first like rebranded and stuff, we didn't want to create a logo because of a logo limits you almost, right? Like you can like, yeah, you can slap it on anything, but like that kind of limits you. So what we did was we just created just the name, VLNO, right? VLNO Mode, whatever. And then we made multiple different elements from that name. So if you like take a look on our Instagram, for example, right, we like the way the name is spelled on the hat, actually, rather, if you see right there, it has the 3 pluses in between the VLNO, right? And the mode. So those pluses were integrated into the thing over there, and they kind of stand for togetherness, like unity, if that makes sense. It's adding the different letters, right? And it's bringing it all together to create this one entity, which is the brand, right? So we can now put these pluses on multiple different things. So like one of our cargo pants, they have the pluses on the back pocket, right? And that's kind of like our thing. Like, so like we try to make multiple different things. That's our thing.
Okay.
When people see it, like obviously like as the brand recognition gets better, when people see little elements of VLNO, they know it's like, oh, those are VLNO pants from that men's collection.
This kind of adding, if you go look at all of our pants that we've made,
actually.
Every single pant that we have on the back pocket, on the flap, has the 3 pluses that he's talking about.
And it's called a 3+ emblem, right? So we gave each of those things names, right? This is called the VLNO Worldwide, right? Because obviously, pretty self-explanatory, right?
Take what's happening.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like, we added hats into our new stuff compared to what we were doing before, right? Before the rebrand, we added hats. We added tote bags, right? Scarves. Scarves actually is sold surprisingly well. Actually, I was actually
that was kind of a test.
It was a test. Yeah, it was literally a test, right?
People rock with
scarves, like
right? People actually have that in the closet, right? So
yeah. And then we also did like pants for the first time. And we released them in September. September. Cargo pants. Kid you not, we were genuinely terrified of, like, in terms of like bringing those pants out, because we had never done anything outside of like, you know, the basic hoodie shirts, right? Because we were starting off, you know? So we designed these dope cargo pants for like one for men and one for women, right? And then we also designed this like spandex kind of like athletic top for women, right? This was way outside of like our comfort zone, you know what I mean?
Like 2017 us,
Yeah.
if you ask me to design like women's products like that, we would have said, yeah, you're crazy, like, you know?
And, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we had we got help from a really good friend of ours, right, with the women's stuff. Like it's a girl. I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but like if she's seen this, she knows who she is.
Yeah, shout
out to her. She's a real one. She definitely, I would say, with the women's stuff, she had a majority of the input. Obviously, she's a woman. She knows what women like more, right? And that's what one thing people need to know. Do not be afraid to ask others who have better, you know. expertise in a certain field, because you cannot do everything by yourself. Like you're not special like that. You know what I mean? Like ask people for help. There's nothing wrong with that. So she helped us a lot with women stuff, right? But yeah, like when we released that, we were genuinely scared because we didn't know how like people were gonna take it. But wow, they took it and ran with it like
it's so bad,
crazy. It sold out in a day, and we were like, yo, what did we just do? Like, I was like, this is insane. But sorry for off topic though, like the design, like our design language now, like I said, and it also varies from collection to collection. And that's also one of our things now that we also know who we are. So like, for example, the collection that we were talking about with the pants and whatnot, it was called chromatic, right? And essentially that meant like toned down colors with hints of 3M reflective, you know, aspects on it, right? So those cargo pants that we're talking about, for example, it was a black cargo pants, but it had like
reflective
details around it, on the logo and whatnot, stuff like that. And this current collection that we're almost done, right? Like it's almost done, and we're about to work on something else and bring the people something nice and fun. Look out for that, it's about to be crazy. But like this current collection that we're about to exit out of, right? It's called Solace. Right, and solace means peace, calm. You know what I mean? Comfort, right? And that's why we did these nice, cozy cotton tracksuits, right? Top and bottoms, and you don't have to buy them together. Like they can be worn separately, which is the good part about them, right? It's this nice hoodies and nice sweatpants, right? The colors are comfortable, like they look like they're comfortable. The clothing is comfortable, right? In terms of quality. That's what you saw. Like people were sending him messages and DMs and stuff saying the comfort is like next level, right?
A guy literally bought a full set. He's like, yo, I'm gonna need another one. He's like, I'm gonna need another one. And I literally just delivered that to him.
The backup.
Yeah.
He's a bag. Exactly. So yeah, like I was saying, like the design language kind of varies from collection to collection, right? Because like each collection has a theme, right? But what's going to tie it all together is the aspects of the brand, like the 3+ emblem, the why, you know what I mean? The mode bear, which was one of the reasons why I would say we took off. I don't know what it is, but we released these hoodies that was part of the chromatic collection, and it had this like mode bear that was designed by another friend. I don't know if she wants to say her name, like if she would mind to say her name.
Her name, her ad is Studio S.
Studio S, yeah, that's her ad on Instagram. But like, shout out to her. She helped design this bear, right? This like
we designed it.
Yeah, we designed it. She's the one that brought it to life. We designed it. She brought it to life for us because she's a graphic designer and whatnot. Stitched it on the back of these like hoodies. They were baby blue, black, and vanilla, like cream.
Vanilla cream.
And I would say at that time was by far a bestseller, even bigger than those cargo pants that I was talking to you about, right? People flocked for those, like it was crazy, right? So like, you know, those little aspects, those little details, that's what would tie every collection together, even though each has its own little theme going on, but those tiny aspects of the brand is what, you know.
And that's kind of adding to as well, like, a big thing with us is like we're always trying to like find ways to evolve, right? Like, if you look at our first product and like if you look at what we're doing now, you can tell, okay, yo, these guys act like with the last collection, chromatic, we actually did not feature like this worldwide logo or like, you know, elements that we have in Solace. Like we have an element that we include called the angelic being, right? That was not in the last collection, but in the next one we included that. right? So it's like we're always trying to find different ways to kind of evolve, because you can't kind of create the same product and just put like, on it and expect people to buy it. You have to kind of reach this, like, and that's what we want to do. Like, we love being creatives. Like, we love, like, just sitting down and trying to kind of find like new like ways to, because like everybody does hoodies.
Yeah.
What makes your hoodie different, right? We can create the same, like, if you go to some people's closets, they have 7 different black hoodies, but each black hoodie has something special about it that, like, you want to wear it on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, right? So with our next collection, like, we're gonna sit down and find ways to evolve. Like, how can we present something new to the people, but still maintain who we are as a brand in terms of, we're talking about 3PE, right? The worldwide. We also have this thing called the product patch that we have in all our products.
I forgot to mention that. That's a big thing,
like, just there's elements that will always be in each collection, but we also want to kind of include new products that we've not done yet, that we've not kind of touch upon, and also it's different, like, ways to expand on what very just niche objects means to us.
I mean,
Sorry, just one quick thing. Even speaking on that product patch, I don't know if I have it. Is it on the back? Yeah. So, like, speaking on that, right? Like, this is like a staple of ours, right? In the sense that, like, this will be on pretty much every product that we can try and put it on, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a brand verification, if that makes sense. Like, like, if this is on it, it's VLNO. If it's not, it's not VLNO.
It's a fake, it's a fake J.
It's not ours. You know what I mean? That makes it VLNO. And, like, there's obviously, like, details in there that lets you know, like, okay, what collection is from, right? And whatnot. It'll say the collection name in it, right, and whatnot. But yeah, like, those, like I said, little aspects, little details, which is part of subtlety, almost very wearable, but also very out there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely have it, like, locked down in terms of, like, we're talking about the pluses, like, even that expands to your whole like brand itself. Everything is sort of connected in some sort of way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just like quickly touching on this topic of, like, having these, like, different themes that you guys go into, like, what's the design, what's the thought process of, like, defining what theme you want to go on to next, and how far out from the central idea you go?
Like, a lot of the time it'll be kind of dookie, like, yo, Jeff, like, I'm thinking for the next collection, let's try this, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, how can we, like, take this idea that he's thinking of and actually make it into a whole collection, right? So with our next collection, right? He came up with his fam. I'm thinking, like, yo, let's do this, that, and that. So I'm like, I bet, let's go. Let's sit down and actually, like, start figuring out, okay, what products could fit into this category. And we also create stuff based off of the season too as well. That is coming, right? Like, we're not going to create, like, bikinis in wintertime. Obviously, some people will go and buy bikinis in the wintertime, and that's on them. But, like, we feel like we want to create products that kind of fit the season that we're entering. So that's kind of that's like the minimum baseline. Like, he'll hit me up based off of the season, and then after we kind of start get going from there. And we also like to look at what's trending. Like, we're like, okay, if a lot of people buying this, we could kind of fall in line and make them buy that, or we can actually give them something new that's old.
When we gauge the market, like, I remember there was a point in time when Chromatic was about to be released. I think there was like this neon trend going on, and I looked at Jeff. I was like, we are not making neon. I don't care what we are not doing anything neon, right? And that worked out for us, obviously, right? Because, like, it's cool to follow a trend, like how Fashion Nova, like, they pump out trends every now and then, right? But, like, I think doing something a little bit out of the norm works as well. But in terms of the thought process of the themes, like, to add on to what Jeff said, I do hit him up and whatnot. But I would also say, like, on my end, right, it's just a matter of, like, digging into, like, your creativity in your mind, if that makes sense. Like, I'm a weird guy. Like, I just do some weird stuff, like, every now and then, right? So, like, that kind of helps with the process. Like, for example, with the whole Chromatic thing, we had no idea what we were gonna do and whatnot. But like you said, just baseline, like, or whatever it was, right? Like, I knew that I wanted to do something with dull, like, I wanted to shift from this, like, bright color phase that we had, right? Yeah. And do something more dull. But then after I was like, okay, how can we add on to that? You know what I mean? And then that's where the whole chromatic, the 3M, the reflective stuff got added into and whatnot. That was me and him sitting together and like, okay, let's add something to that dull color thing, whatever. So we did that, and that's how it happened. So that's how most of our themes actually happen on the spot almost. It's not like there's no actual process, if that makes sense. Like I'll hit him up, I'll be like, yo, let's like discuss some business. He'll come over to my crib or vice versa. And we'll just be sitting down, and after I'll be like, yo, like how about Solus? Like that's literally how it happens. Like literally, like you don't think like, okay, yes, the season does get incorporated, obviously, like you said, we don't want to make bikinis in like the winter time, the thick of winter, right? So like we use that to kind of almost like like spark the creativity almost, if that makes sense, on the theme. And then, yeah, that's how it happens and whatnot. And we also, one funny thing is, we also try to make the name of the collection sound cool. Like, I
was about to say, like, damn.
We try to make it sound cool, like Volume 2 Chromatic sounds dope. Like Volume 3 Solus sounds dope.
So like, collection, like, you know, Genesis.
It was Genesis, right? Genesis is the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Yeah, so like, we like to kind of have cool names.
Yeah.
Right? It just kind of makes it more fun.
Yeah. Literally.
Right? And like, it just kind of like, again, like a big thing, like we just want to bring something different. Like, you know? A lot of people, like, a lot of brands, what it was like, they'll just kind of go fall winter 2022. And that's kind of like, you don't really have a lot of these big brands, they're not even giving these collection titles. They're just going like, no, FW and the year.
2022.
We obviously still have FW or whatever, like, you know, that's somewhere, but we want to actually give these collections a name and give an explanation as to our thought process as to why do we have this gray? Like, you know, what does that symbolize? Why do we, like, so every element, like, while, like, you know, we're designing and trying to figure out, okay, what are we putting creative for Solus? It's all, like, you know, it also come together.
Yeah.
I mean, the names fit in with the luxurious part, you know, like, it's like a higher brand, higher, you know, quality, and the names have to sort of reflect that kind of essence of it. So I think it fits really well together.
Yeah. And like, just like touching on that piece before we move on to the next segment, like, do you guys ever think of like coming back to like old themes that you guys have that you've done in the past?
Yeah, that's actually funny that you mentioned that. We plan on, well, I don't know, should I tell this kind of like a business, like it's that type of thing, capsules?
Oh,
I can throw that out there. Okay. Well, I got the go ahead from the boss to tell you that. So, we plan on revisiting some old volumes, like almost like how like Jordan retros their shoes, almost.
Right? Yeah.
Something along those lines. Not all the way like them, but along those lines where like we kind of gauge what our audience liked the most, like from the past or whatever, right? And then we'll see if we can bring it back like for a brief time, you know, so that the people that missed out on the old one can kind of, you know, grab that and have a piece of some VLNO history. We definitely plan on, you know, revisiting some old classics, is what I'll call it. Some old classics.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I guess we can move on to the next segment called the Genius segment, where we kind of pull up something that you've done in the past and kind of get a little bit more detail into it.
This should be interesting. I was not expecting this much.
See how this goes.
Are you a genius?
Cool. So we got this one. This is, so just tell us a little bit about this design here, and what theme it was, and maybe even like what the photo shoot was like coming up with this.
So I guess the article on this one is our reflective tote bag that we created for the collection.
Volume 2. Chromatic. That's
right. So in this photo, there's some, like, you know, some guy, you know, he's a pretty cool dude, you know. I'm like, yo, like, well, I seen the photo. I seen him standing there. I'm like, yo, fam, listen, like, the sun is hitting really nice right now, right? And one of the photographers on set was there. I'm like, just pull up the bag, like, you know, just hold it up high. Just do something with the bag. Just hold it And after then, just take a picture, right? And we took it, and I'm like, yo, the skyline was just hidden really nice. The flash allowed, like, the logo to pop out really well, and like everything was connected really well. And like, it was just like on the fly. I seen them, like, yo, sun is nice. You pick up the bag, just hold it up, take a picture.
Yeah.
And then and like after like he's the one that kind of like looks at a lot of the photos and decides like kind of what gets posted and whatnot. And he's like, yo, like, this is actually one, that spontaneous one, like that one looks crazy. So that's kind of that picture right there.
Okay. Yeah. And it seems like from what I've seen from your Instagram and the fashion sense, it's like you guys kind of have like this kind of simplistic design going into each piece, right?
For sure.
And going with that, is that like kind of part of your central theme that you have when you go into designing?
For sure. That was part of the whole subtle flex thing and whatnot. For sure. Like making pieces that are practical, right? Obviously, I'm not saying that we'll never like make outrageous pieces just for the fun of it, right? Mm-hmm. But like, for the most part, it's pieces that are really wearable, but like they just stand out, if that makes sense. Like you can have something that's simple, but it catches your eye. Like for example, I don't know if you guys are really into cars, but like a Hyundai Genesis, right? It doesn't have like, the crazy body lines of like a Lamborghini with like the really sharp angles and the big rear wing and all of that stuff, right? But you look at a Hyundai Genesis G70, right, or G80, and you're like, oh, I can tell that car is somewhat expensive. It's like nice, right? But it doesn't have like the whole Lamborghini stuff going on, Ferrari, all this stuff, like really low, very like big, bulky, wide cars, right? But you can tell like that's a nice car, and that's kind of what we are, like simple, but like when you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty. That's what we are. So
yeah, okay, yeah, and I can definitely see that in like the way you guys go about like just even like designing your product from where I've seen it to where it is now. It seems like even with the pink ones, the pink hoodies and the purple hoodies that you guys have going on here, it seems like it's really, everything seems really like tight knit and cohesive. So big ups on that,
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think we'll move on to the next one. Well, the next one where we let you kind of shout out your campaign, what things that you have going on next. So I know I talked to Jeffery on this. You have your new campaign coming up in September, October. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Before Jeff dives into that, I just want to give a shout out to our longtime photographer, Larissa. She is most of the most recent photos you see in some of the old ones. She's the one that took care of that. She's amazing. One of the best photographers in the city by far, like bar none. And also Bernard. Right? Shout out Bernard Ben.
Yeah.
Amazing guy too. Like those great people. Just want to do that real quick because we wouldn't be able to, produce the media.
Yeah, the work that that we put in, it's not just only us.
Yeah.
It's a team, right? Same thing with Isabel from ISA Visuals. Right?
Yes. Right? Isabel, great person.
Like you said, Sylvia, S, one of our graphic designers that helps us out, right? So.
And anybody who was taking time out of the day to model for us, like we appreciate you so much.
Drivers, people that have let us use your place, like all the students I go to, like shout out to everybody, guys. Like people kind of see the success, but don't really kind of see the work that kind of
goes into
behind it. It's like people see our brand and like, oh wow, like these guys have been putting in for a thing, but like we said in the beginning, we thought of this in September of 2017, right?
And it took they scammed everybody.
Like, exactly. We did not know, what the heck is a cotton T-shirt? Like, obviously we can understand that there's a kind of hyperbole in it, but like, this, how do you design? Like our initial designs before we even created our debut collection compared to like what we have now is like 90 days. We just kind of like the process and like we're still here. It's kind of how we look at it.
Yeah.
We're not going nowhere. Like, we're ready to the takeover is kind of it's almost complete.
Almost complete. Yeah.
So shout out everybody that's supported us, all our customers, like everybody. Not do it with ideas.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Dystopia.
This guy knows. All right, so yeah, that's obviously, like you said, Dystopia is the title of our next collection.
Volume 4?
Volume 4.
Volume 4.
Volume 4, Dystopia, VFD.
It's another cool name.
Yeah, very cool name.
Volume got to sound cool, so Volume 4 Dystopia for sure.
So I guess the first part, like, you know, sometimes you, like he says, so when you go Google Solace, right, it means peace, comfort, cozy, right? So dystopia, when you like search the definition of dystopia, is the opposite of utopia. So it's like, you know, a distressed world, like, you know, things are not like right, like, you know, things don't fit the way they're supposed to. And that's kind of who we are. Like, we don't want to just kind of fit in. We kind of want to be like different from the rest. And so this collection is going to feature, like, you know, some new pieces that we've never done before, right? That kind of like don't, like, if you compare, like, when the pieces come out, you compare them to our past collection, it makes we don't want to give up too much, like, you know.
So bikinis, no.
Exactly, right. But like, you know, like, you see this item, and you're like, how do you guys go from this to this? Holy smokes!
And it's not like the other stuff we did was like bad or whatever. Like, for example, like Volume 3 compared to Volume 2, it's not that one is like remotely better than the other, right? It's just that the designs change and like upgrade and evolve. That makes sense. So like he said, we're definitely gonna add some pieces that we've never done before. They're gonna be different.
Yeah, like I was really talking to this artist the other day, and after he's like, yo, so what's happening next? Like, you know, what you guys working on? I was explaining to him, like, yeah, we got this coming, and I told him like a few of the pieces that were introduces into it. He's like, yo, this is like, you know, this is, I like that, right? So dystopia is, and like what we're also trying to expand onto is our storytelling, right? So we're working with a few different people to try to really put out
capture
the imagination of, like, you know, just our current clients and this potential, like, you know,
future ones.
So when you see it, because again, like, for me, when I watch a movie, and we both love movies and like TV shows and stuff, like that, like first like 3 minutes of like watching a movie can determine, like, you know, while I'm on Netflix, I watch this movie or not. Right? I see a building explode. Yo, where's the popcorn at? Like, you know, a building is exploded. Like, you know, let's get, so that's kind of like, you know, the idea with this next one. Just kind of really is gonna be in your face. You're gonna know exactly like what's coming at you. So
while still maintaining, you know, the practicality, you know, every single one of our aspects, like we told you guys, everything's going to be involved in there. But, you know, like we said, each volume, each collection takes on a life of its own. Dystopia will definitely take on a life of its own, for sure. I don't want to say too much. I can give you like color.
Yeah, like, give you color. We're going to expand, like, obviously we've done pants already, right? Cargo. So we're going to expand on that kind of. Like I was with this guy yesterday, the customer, like I said, who went and doubled down and bought another pair, right? He's like, yo, the black cargos that you guys dropped, that was crazy. I'm gonna need another pair. I'm like, listen, don't worry, actually.
Gotcha.
Right, so like, you know, we're trying to expand on that. We're trying to expand, just kind of, again, if we can outsource even better quality, we're gonna go ahead and do it, right? It's not about the cost for us. We want to make sure that everybody always gets a high quality product from us. That, like, we want to make sure your fashion is on point, right? Because again, we're not going to give you something that we're not going to wear
ourselves.
Most of the time, I'll be wearing like what we make. It's just,
I don't wear no other sweatpants except for the ones we created.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to it, to actually seeing it, maybe even buy one. You know, cause like for sure. Cause like from what I've. From what I've seen from the designs from where you guys started, well, at least from what I've seen on your page to where you are now, I'm really excited to see how you guys evolve even past 2021 and beyond, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Even sorry to cut you off, but even on that creative aspect, right? Like I've low key been a creative guy. I'm just shy. I keep a lot of my creativity to myself, almost like. When I was younger, I used to, like, I don't know if he remembers this, but elementary school, like, remember Adrian?
Yeah,
like
Adrian.
some dude that's like we create like we try to create this like this TV show kind of like book TV show kind of thing almost, right? Where like, it was like these monsters that these dudes were battling, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that like, when you're younger, but like that stuck with me, right? Like I've always liked creating stuff, whether it's like something out there or comic books, whatever it is, right? Like even music, like I make music, but obviously I'm still too shy to pump it out there and whatnot. But I might do something, but like I just like he said though, like I think the basis of wanting to do something like fashion is you like to create. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I guess it's kind of like sum it up like fashion. You know, it's individualistic, but it's also like a community. Like, when you buy something, like it's a way for you to like when you buy something that you think is a representation of who you are. Right. So, like when we create stuff, we're creating something that we think is a representation of us and sharing that kind of vulnerable aspect of ourselves with the world. And so it's like we want to kind of connect with people and like, yo, like the reason why we have this black piece is because to kind of symbolize this. When we buy this yellow artist, like, you know, there's all like a meaning behind every single article. And we just want to find ways to kind of express ourselves and just get whatever is in our mind
and put it out there.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to kind of summarize what VLNO is really, to be honest. And I think as we come to the end of this episode, I want to thank you guys for really coming out to the podcast. You know, like I think I definitely I've seen the brand here and there through Jeffery and stuff, but I think learning it more about it really I kind of want to support it even more now. You know.
Yeah,
just from seeing it.
I mean, we got something special coming. Give us some.
Oh wait! Shout out your Instagrams and your social media.
Follow the brand page at VLNO Mode MODE. You can follow
mine is 1 of 1, the number 1 OF 1 HF human form. Yeah, I don't know if you caught that, but just Google 1 of 1 HF on IG and you'll probably find me. Or just look in the VLNO brand and you'll find me somewhere.
You'll find me at Duke of Earth. That's DUKEOFEARTH _ on Instagram. So you can find me at.
Cool. Definitely. We'll definitely have you in the description, in the video format, the audio format. You know, we even have our own website now too. So
let's go.
Let's go. Come on.
So,
congrats to you.
Catch you guys.
And also to the people that are listening to this, like this is like our first episode. Besides, you know, we're trying to expand out towards music, and we're trying to bring in other kinds of, you know, fashion, anything else. Like we're trying to bring out different kind of creatives. So that's why this episode was a bit different. Usually we do more music stuff, but we're also trying to expand and bring on like different kinds of creative stuff. So yeah, that's why.
Invite me back on when I have the balls to drop some music.
He's gonna be back.
We gotta get you back on here.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, and we want to thank you guys again for coming on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Cypher.
The Cypher.